Hello, hello. I am back again to talk about this upcoming Pisces full moon. It's also a lunar eclipse. This will be the sort of closing portal to eclipse season, even though the effects of these, both of the solar and the lunar eclipses, are going to be in effect for at least 6 months. And so this is the thing. If nothing actually happened, which I doubt, but if nothing happened for you for the solar eclipse, then maybe something will be more relevant and be happening for this lunar eclipse to signify what the next 6 months are going to be about for you. So it's exciting times. I'm getting over being sick again, so you might hear it in my voice, and I'm going to try my best to do my best here. So, thanks for joining me again. I always appreciate it if you're here to watch me talk about astrology. I appreciate it, and if you end up liking my content, I'd appreciate it if you like it. Maybe if you would follow me or share what I do, that would also be nice. I appreciate that also. Thank you. So yes, this upcoming lunar eclipse, the Pisces full moon, will be happening on August 27th, 2026. And that's a Thursday for me. Um, at 9:18 p.m. Pacific time. 'Cause I am in the Pacific Northwest. Um, yes, and the more equal days and nights are coming back. We have really long summers, long daytime in summers, and we have long night times in the winter up here in the Pacific Northwest, pretty far north. And so this time of year is nice when the sun, the darkness and the lightness start evening out. We're getting prepared for the fall equinox to come through, but it's starting to feel different up here. It's starting to become a little bit more temperate. And yeah, that's nice. We just got through a really crazy fire season here. Uh, Almost every year since I've moved up here, there's been smoke season, fire season, which brings smoke to all the different communities up here. And the air has just kind of cleared out. It's been very rough. I live in Spokane where a lot of people lost their homes, and that was really um, very unexpected for a lot of us. And it turns out that it was, at least one of the fires was arson. And so, and I mention that because it really is, the astrology has been talking about this kind of stuff. And it's hard to deny, even though it's very tragic. And the bigger fights, the conspiracies, if you will, about the fires and what is planned for the land around these fires. it really remains to be seen as to what is going to be happening with the land that was involved with these fires. Um, yeah, so, and that it really speaks about Pluto being in Aquarius. Yes, Pluto in Aquarius is about freedom of expression and liberty, the humanitarian, um, tribalism. We see that going on in a good way, in a bad way, in a bad way a lot. But the point I wanted to get to here is that Pluto is very, very potent right now. And Uranus going through Gemini, making a trine, an aspect to Pluto, and being very active throughout this time has brought some very unexpected events that will change everything for some people. So it's hard to not see that going on here. I feel like it is really close up where I am at. That's why I wanted to bring that up quickly about the fires and all that. There were a lot of people that were forced out of their homes, and the it's not the end. The fires have been contained, but there's more fires that keep starting up further north from here, so in the even more rural areas. So it's not over, and a lot of it you keep catching people um with uh lighting fires. So and just everywhere. So let's share the chart instead of me just rambling this whole time because I like to get to it here. Let's see. Well, this is, of course, I just have to change this. All right, that should be the way I want it now. All right. Yes, because I will be talking about the fixed stars also, because the full moon is landing on Fomalhaut. I'm learning how to say that word. Let's see. Fomalhaut. Fomalhaut is a fixed star. But I'll be talking about that after I talk about the main aspects here. Um, let's see. So this is the full moon happening at 4 degrees, almost 5 degrees of Pisces here. And it is a partial lunar eclipse because it is really close to the North Node. It is partial because it's really not close enough to be a fully um, covered. That just means that the Earth and the sun and the moon are not completely lined up on that node, the North Node. The solar eclipse was a um, total solar eclipse because it was much closer to that south node when it happened. But now, this full moon that is happening in Pisces is happening after the sun goes into Virgo, also. And it is when the sun is conjuncting Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. So this makes it a very potent sun, and there's a lot of communication coming through. A lot of communication. There's going to be a lot of news. There'll be a lot of mental activity for a lot of us. And you want to be careful of being too critical. And we don't want to get caught in a loop trying to perfect our mindset because we need to continue to stay open-minded, so that the messages that want to come through the priestess, because Virgo is the sign of the priestess, and being in service to the physical experience. And so bringing messages from Mercury, the mental, into the physical body, which is always happening, but are we actually aware of it is the question. So, one of the beautiful keys to this lunar eclipse is to feel into your body and feel what the messages are coming through your physical body. If there's illness, which I have been experiencing, then that speaks about something, and I get the message loud and clear. I definitely understand what is being told to me, especially when I get sick exactly perfectly on my days off. It seems like, yes, I hear you, Mercury. I hear the priestess telling me that I might need to slow down a little bit, which sounds crazy to me. But there's a lot of aspects to where I see that might need to, you know, I did a lot of sleeping on my days off to compensate. So, restoration might be what the priestess is asking you to do also. If you find yourself with an illness, a physical illness, because Virgo is really about the physical body. And I'm just bringing this from personal experience that this full moon is going to illuminate something in your body. And when uh, it feels like the message really is coming through, because we've got this T square that is happening with Uranus and Gemini. And this is why I was bringing up Uranus and unexpected events. Uranus has been in play because was the it was in play for the solar eclipse. And I talked about that in my last video. Um, of course, I didn't know what was going to happen, but um, seeing the astrology play out quite literally is it's very humbling, actually. Um, it's not something to take lightly when events are actually happening. And I really, one of the things that I'm intuiting about this full moon lunar eclipse because of the axis of Virgo and Pisces that this full moon is in. I'm intuiting that physical stress and mental stress is going to be very prominent, and that we'll be very much experiencing this physical distress, possibly mental distress, and all pivoting off of this square to Uranus here in Gemini, which has been conjunct Sedna. And I've talked about Sedna off and on, and how Sedna's influence here is really about the balance that we are living on this earth, on this planet. Um, she is a lot of mostly about the ocean. And so there is an element to the ocean that also Pisces, right? We're talking about a Pisces full moon. Pisces is well known for being an archetype about, the ocean, the open ocean. Neptune is the ruler. Neptune is the king of the ocean, the seas, and that kind of underworld. And here with Sedna, that is just echoing that sentiment that there's something about ocean life and our ultimate survival on this planet. And, our own physical and mental distress is very much connected to the rest of the planet. And being able to feel and be connected to the planet's stress, distress, it serves a higher purpose for us to wake up fully. And this waking up that Uranus wants us to do is to understand what true freedom and liberty uh, and being a revolutionary, not being a fake woke, but being truly woke, which really doesn't make any sense these days. These words have been stolen and put through the manipulation machine, so I do try not to use them. But this all plays in with the fixed stars that are connected here when I start to talk about that. But um, this T square, the square from the sun and the moon, and a full moon aspect in a square to Uranus really speaks about something unexpected coming about. And I'm saying that the theme could be your physical health, your mental health. Um, that's just one of the very mundane things that could be going on. Um, and with Mercury conjunct the sun, we're going to be receiving news about something, and it will be activating the, physical or mental distress, something unexpected. One of the other aspects that I wanted to talk about in this chart is that we have Pluto in Aquarius and Neptune in Aries in a sextile, and both of them in a uh, quincunx in conjunct to the Sun and Mercury. So this is called a yod. Um, that's how I pronounce it. It's called a yod, and where it points to is the focus point. And sometimes it's called the finger of God because, the focal point is where you're supposed to be looking towards. It might also be the challenge, right? That's what, if the saying is all about, if God brings you to it, God will bring you through it, right? It is one of those things, and however you want to believe. Hmm, I've just grown up with these sayings, and so you can apply your own religious ideology. But I that it was really important to bring up that this particular yod, it includes Pluto and Neptune, and Pluto is really about the soul because there is no denying what is going to be going on. And um Pluto can be scary and can be about fear, but that is why your soul is here. Your soul is here to experience and face fear, right? It's not the exactly the happiest aspect of incarnation, but it is the most evolutionary. And Neptune really represents spirit, the sort of animating force, the spiritual animating force behind our incarnation. And both of these planets in a sextile, creating an opportunity of some kind between soul and spirit, and pointing right at the sun and Mercury. And the sun represents our self, our being, our essence, uh, um, our individual nature, and who we are here to be, who we are uniquely here to be. And the obviously Mercury being right here is also talking about our uh, ability to understand this. So this is one of the quieter aspects, actually. This one will not be felt super strongly, but I am making anybody who is watching aware of this because it's important to understand that there is an opportunity for soul growth and for spiritual achievement, although achievement is probably not the right word. Enhancement, maybe, is a better word. Um, because if we can take Neptune and Aries and look at it for its positive spiritual meaning, it is about the spiritual individual, spiritual spark, and possibly spiritual self-awareness. And and I think that that's all a really beautiful thing to actually bring up because otherwise this lunar eclipse might feel really quite chaotic if you're feeling into the external world. And I talked about it a little bit in my last video, but again, I want to talk about the glyph of the sun and how the glyph even shows you that the essence and the energy of the sun is about bringing yourself back into yourself and finding your heart space and ultimately having Mercury right there next to the sun and in the sign of Virgo, the priestess. We're talking about communicating with the heart and letting uh, a sense of this, I don't know how else to call it other than priestess energy. It is a dedication to your own sacred work, but it's your own self. And Virgo, being about the physical body, and this is where us in a human body, this is where we get our messages from, is in this antenna. This body is an antenna for the environment and it tells us things. And so that's really, this full moon is really going to be speaking to us. And where Virgo, like 4 or 5 degrees of Virgo is in your own chart, we'll talk about the larger theme or the more individual thing, sorry, that is going on for you. So, and so if you want to know more about that, then either look at where that is in your chart because you know what you're looking for, or we can talk about it if you want to contact me. All right. So moving on, I wanted to talk a little bit about, the potential shadow side of this Pisces full moon, um, because of the very strong, it's a very strong square to Uranus. And so there might be some very disruptive energy running through your body. And if you're feeling a strong sense of martyrdom and, you know, you're very much stuck in the woe is me, that can be a shadow side of this Pisces full moon, being triggered in any of your addictions, um, leaning too much into codependency is another shadow aspect of Pisces. Losing your connection to the sacred spirit, that is one of the things that people might be running away from because there is so much internal shifting going on, because the external world is showing us so much information that it's hard to deny that a shift is happening on the inside of all of us, a lot of us. And our group think, our tribalism is on this precipice of just being in like kind of like end phase, because also Pisces is the end of the zodiac. And so what we're telling, the part of the story that we're telling in this full moon is the end of something. It's the end of a story of something. So when that is happening, sometimes people are more afraid of the future because they don't know what is on the other side of so much uncertainty. And the um, more enlightened side of Pisces is able to surrender, knowing what is next, and the, being able to surrender your self-will to the will of the divine is really what's being asked of everybody for this Pisces full moon. And so, yeah, surrender, because it's the end of the zodiac. Um, there's something ending in this story, and people are noticing a shift on the inside of themselves, but we're not going to see this on the outside for a little bit. We're not going to see the unification yet, even though a lot of the astrology is saying that there is a strong pull for a more unified tribe on this earth. Um, that is truly humanitarian, not fake. Because let's see, what I'm trying to get to with regards to the shadow of Pisces is that Um, the shadow is basically faking that you care about something because you think you're gonna get something out of it. Like you're gonna, be favored by God. You're gonna go to heaven because you did everything right. That is actually a shadow side of Pisces because the enlightened side is that you are selflessly serving with simple devotion and a sense of presence, and that you're not expecting anything out of uh, like caring for another. You're not expecting anything out of that. It is interesting that my life is so synchronous sometimes, but I just watched that movie with honors. And if you haven't seen it, it's a really good film to see during this time, and you'll kind of understand this concept that I'm trying to bring up better if you watch it, because at first the character is trying to be nice to get his thesis back from the bum, and what unfolds and how the main character learns how to care about the bum is like totally what I'm trying to talk about here, that there um, is a beautiful chance in all of us to transform our manipulative ways into actually helping humanity, because that's what is truly right and where a true sense of um, coming from the heart is actually caring for another, caring for others without expecting anything in return. And that's when the story really starts to unfold in that movie. I recommend watching that for homework for this full moon. Okay. So I think that instead of going over all of the planetary aspects, I just wanted to talk about the strongest ones and the ones that were speaking to me the most. And that's what I'll continue to do. So, okay, let me, yes. All right, so this chart here is the chart that shows the full moon with the fixed stars on the outside here. They're abbreviated, and maybe one day I can learn how to fix that. But that being said, the moon in this full moon in Pisces is actually very tightly conjunct Fomalhaut. 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 Uh, I, again, I had to look up how to say this word because I've only been reading it. I've never heard anybody else say it. This is a fixed star, and it's one of the royal stars of Persia, and it is translates to the mouth of the fish because it is the mouth of the fish where the water the Aquarius waters are going into the mouth of the fish. And it is also considered one of the watchers of the South. The theme of this fixed star, Fomalhaut, is idealism. Um, and really about how love wins. Um, it is really about a a sense of, let's see, how do I put it? Well, this fixed star really invokes the mystic and magic and inspires high ideals and lofty visions, which really speaks about what love can be. Because love, in its idealized form, is a lofty vision, a lofty ideal love. And it sometimes love requires magic, and sometimes it requires um, a type of alignment with others that might even betray sort of expectations. Um, this fixed star is about clashing with the mainstream to achieve ideals. So the ideals that we're talking about are these are things that are starting to brew within us, within our minds and our psyches. And this is why the eventual unification of the global tribe is being seeded, is because we will soon learn eventually that a lot of us have the same ideals for love, because love is what really truly brings everyone together. And it sounds, um, it might even sound naive, but there's something really prominent, really potent being planted here in many of our hearts. And it is coming through, it's coming through Gaia, the Earth priestess, the uh, Mercury and Sun in Virgo. Well, that full moon is the light from the sun. So the full moon is the light from the Virgo sun. So the moon conjunct Fomalhaut, Fomalhaut. It has an H in it, so that's hard to actually pronounce. Fomalhaut. The moon and Fomalhaut together is really about to having illusions about what other people need to do or are able to achieve. And this is why I said that eventually we will come to know that most of most humans all have the same ideal for love. And interestingly, um, the moon conjunct Fomalhaut is also a time when patriotism is stressed by the media. And I was kind of blown away when I read that. And this is from Bernadette Brady's book about to fix stars, because we have Mercury conjunct the sun. And that obviously could mean media. And so it's possible through this information that we are um given information through the media that will be um, triggering this whole stressful event. But the thing to keep in mind is that there is a beautiful aspect if you can bring yourself back into yourself and focus on your own evolutionary journey and your journey and turning back within yourself and paying attention to your body. Yes. The other fixed star I will quickly talk about is the Deneb A at 5 degrees of Pisces. And this one is the theme of the spiritual warrior. That's very interesting. And again, sort of echoing the same sentiment again, that the moon conjunct Deneb A is to go against expectations of others to follow one's own beliefs. This is also considered a shaman's star because really it's about following your own beliefs. And we might think that that is chaotic, but I truly intuit and see that we are all going to discover that once we all are tapped in more clearly to our own heart space, that we will identify that we have very the same kind of ideals for love and, and to remember that love is a lofty vision and it's okay to idealize what love is as long as you're not putting your love on another too imbalanced in a too imbalanced way to where you lose your boundaries. You have no boundary. If you have no boundaries and if you expect others to have no boundaries, it is again a shadow side aspect of Pisces moon. And so there is a lot to be learned. And the last thing I thought was really interesting is that John Lennon had his moon conjunct Fomalhaut, and he's known for what? a couple of different things, like writing songs that were very inspiring toward high ideals and for love, right? That song, Imagine, right? I mean, that is really a good song that describes what this exact conjunction is about. And his love with Yoko Ono was quite controversial, but it was about idealizing love. I know that there is controversy and things that people say, but the intention, uh, them showing their love to the world was to just show like a pure sense of love. And again, humans had a lot to learn then. We still have a lot to learn now. And that is what the theme is for this full moon partial lunar eclipse is going to be about the idealism of love and the heart space and how it feels in our body when we think about love. Yeah, it might be distressing. That might be where your stress comes from. And this full moon is asking you to surrender so that you can heal. And that's uh, one of the beautiful things about this full moon. With everything going on, you can always surrender to love. So I think that was all I wanted to go over. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna stop this share and I hope that you enjoyed this and I hope that you got something out of it. I apologize for being sick and hopefully next time um, I'll be able to speak more properly. All right. Thanks for hanging in there with me. This was very nice to express. All right. See you all next time.